I'm walking down Hyde Street, very close to where my old studios used to be actually, and I had an advertising agency, and little did I know that Alfred the Great was originally buried in the same road that I had my design studio. And there's a little church down here that I never had any idea about it, but this is supposed to be the place where King Alfred's bones were buried. They were taken from the cathedral and buried here for a while. Not in this church itself, this was built on the old site. Well, it's closed unfortunately, but I don't think they found the bones in here as such, but this is where his bones were originally buried. This was a huge great complex here of a church in the past, but now it's just a little Norman church. So Alfred's ghost is supposed to haunt both this place and the cathedral. Well, remarkably, I had no idea this little church existed. I've worked for years just down the road from it. We never came down this end of the road, Hyde Close, but this is where I was based, and this is Hyde Road, I think it's called. But yeah, remarkable to think that Alfred's bones were supposed to have been buried somewhere along this site originally. I think they did some excavations here some while back. But could it be that his spirit still haunts this area? Who knows? It's certainly a intriguing thought. Well, most people, when they think of Alfred the Great, think of the burnt cakes, don't they? Because when he was fleeing from the Danes, he is supposed to have taken refuge in some peasant's house or something, and he was told to look after the cakes, and they burn, you know. So that's where most school kids would have learned about Alfred the Great. But of course, he was around in the 9th century. He was great because he was one of the first kings to establish kingship over the Anglo-Saxons and the Saxons before that, and went to great lengths to drive out the Vikings who terrorized Britannia for such a long time. I think the excavations were done around about 2013, as far as I'm aware. About the same time they discovered King Richard's bones under a parking lot, as the Americans say. But here, I don't know quite what the end result was, whether they found them or not, but what I'm interested in is not just the history of this place, but the possibility that this could be a place where the spirit of King Alfred still haunts. So it's quite a fascinating place. There's also some old gardens, I believe, that are connected with this place too, which I'm going to have a look and see if I can get into them as well, because I've got a feeling there's some other parts from what was part of the old complex here. Now that could be over there. This is it. This is the bit that I needed to find actually. This is the old Hyde Gate. This is the last remaining parts of Hyde Abbey, which would have been part of the complex here of the church of the old Abbey that was here. I believe the monks that were here used to get up to no good, because there was some references made about the monks in the area not allowed to go drinking and not allowed to go visiting prostitutes and things like that. So they were obviously up to no good sometimes. But this is the old Hyde Gate, which is part of the old Abbey. So if anywhere's haunted, it's likely to be here. an odd light up there. The pigeons seem to be a bit erratic here too. I couldn't call that ghosts, but they seem to be a bit disturbed by the fact that I'm here. So this place, it was once the home of one of the great abbeys of medieval Winchester. It had links with the kings of Wessex generally, but Alfred the Great especially. He lived from 871 to 899, if I remember right. He planned a new church for this spot, but he died before the work was finished. So I believe he was buried here originally, and then his bones were shifted. And the other church we looked at across the road was built probably on the possible site where it's most likely that he would have been buried. But as far as I know, I don't think we've found his bones yet. Just coming up now to the Buttercross, actually, which is where the last female woman, coming up to the Buttercross, where the last woman apparently was hung. That's it there, that's the Buttercross. I think the only people I'd have hung actually would be some of these town planners that have allowed buildings amongst all these ancient sites. Somebody wrote to me who was the daughter or something of the organist that used to work here, and they spoke about the ghost of Alfred always appearing at the time they would play the organ. And he said every time he played the church's organ, apparently they used to get some really weird phenomena. He used to feel like he was being, could feel the presence or feel him being touched. And this isn't just one person that reported this, but many. So it's a fascinating place, Winchester Cathedral, and the whole town has a certain energy to it that's hard to explain. Anyway, here it is, Winchester Cathedral. It makes me wonder what that organist is sensing as he rehearses here, you know. Has he felt the spirit of Alfred close to him, like that little story I told you on the way in? Like I said, the person said that every time the organist played, he would always feel the presence of Alfred. And like I say, he's not the only one. It's supposed to be when the organ plays that Alfred's spirit comes close. Well, there we go. This isn't the actual resting place of Alfred, never has been. I think his bones may have been put here for a while, I read somewhere. But they never did find the bones in the end. They don't know what happened to him. He's another one of those kings, a bit like Richard III, who was only recently discovered. His bones were recently discovered in a parking lot. But in this particular church, in this particular cathedral, it would not have been the resting place of Alfred. But like they say, the organist and others have often said that the spirit of Alfred visits this place. Now, is that just folklore and superstition? I would have thought if Alfred's spirit is anywhere, it would have been at the original church that we saw, the one where that had now been disassembled in the times of the Reformation and rebuilt as a Norman church. But this was here, this cathedral was built about, like I say, 200 years after Alfred's reign. But he was certainly a archetypal king of England. That's why they call him the Great. He was the first great Saxon and Anglo-Saxon king who really helped build the unity of Britain. Right, let's go and see if we can find Jane and Danielle, see if they finished their shopping. Now, last time, you remember, last time I tried to ring them, I had all sorts of troubles. Let's see if our phones are intact this time. Hello? Oh, hi Jane, I've just finished doing the ghost tour thing of Winchester Cathedral and things. No funny sound this time though. Where are you now then?
We're in TK Maxx.
Ah, that sounds very spiritual. Okay.
No.
TK Maxx. Eh?
Damien wanted something.
Oh yes, you wouldn't want to go to TK Maxx.
I haven't bought anything.
All right. I'm trying to think where TK Maxx is here in Winchester.
Meet us at Sainsbury's. We'll walk up to Sainsbury's.
All right, I'll see you at Sainsbury's. Okay, see you there.
Bless you, my child.
Bye for now. Well, no funny voice messages this time like last time. TK Maxx, that brings us down to earth. Okay, see you next time. Bye for now.
Well, if you enjoy my shows here and you enjoy reading my books and you enjoy my work generally, you might like to join me on Zoom, because perhaps you'd like to open your own psychic powers and discover and awaken your spiritual potential. So you can join me now on my transformative psychic workshops, which are on Zoom. Group sessions on Zoom. You will learn to meditate. You'll learn to develop your psychic skills. You'll learn to open your spiritual powers. And I'll share with you my knowledge of spiritualism, plus my knowledge from the East, from India, and the things I've learned over my years. And together, perhaps, we can navigate this troubled world together. We can share our feelings, our thoughts, our hopes, our ambitions with clarity and purpose. So can join me. Click the link below. It's in the description of this video. Spaces are limited, of course, but join me to unlock your psychic and spiritual potential.